Hello my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. I hope you guys are doing well today. Can you guys hear me? Hello my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Good, good, good. Good to see all you guys. Great to see everybody out there. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So it's cold here, guys. It's cold here in the mountains. It's about 40 degrees this morning. And I know everybody's got unusual weather pretty much everywhere. It's amazing how much the weather is just so changeable. And yes, they are spraying out there. Do you know we had another earthquake here yesterday? And I actually felt it. When it happened, I said to Lisa, I said, "Did you feel that?" And she didn't notice anything. But it kind of, I thought I heard a boom. And it felt like there was a rumbling. And as it turns out, 12:30 yesterday afternoon, there was an earthquake here, just basically maybe about 10 miles from us. And there was another one. I think they're both 2.6s. The other one was out more towards the coast. We are right around Waynesville, which is about a half hour west of Asheville, North Carolina. And the mountains here are moving. We could feel it. And I tell you, it's been more regular than we'd like, to actually feel these mountains moving. There's ancient fault lines that go through here. And of course, these mountains are folded mountains. So they were caused basically by a crumpling effect between the plates. And we really haven't had a lot of lightning, like Joffrey is asking, or Joffrey, sorry. Down in Florida, there was tons of lightning, and some of it was amazing. And we miss you too, Fifth World. And it's beautiful to see everybody here. We have a good turnout. I wasn't sure what it would be like at noon. Now, I wanted to bring up to you guys Evolutionary Energy Arts 2. So we have a backup channel. So in this world, you never know what you're going to get a strike for. And I still don't understand the first strike that we got. Because the only thing I could think of was the video of the meteor tsunami that was down in southwest Florida. It hit around Naples area. And it was from basically like a local Channel 8 news. And everybody was showing it. That's the only thing I could think it was on that video. And I showed a small clip of it. And that's why I don't like showing clips of any sort of video. Because they hit you with strikes. And yes, EU Article 13 is going to change the way everybody is doing things. If you watch like Richie from Boston, or if you watch Lionel Nation, they're always, basically videotaping themselves. And, that's going to be kind of the way we're going to have to do things. We're going to have to change things up because, they're just making it so you can't do things a certain way. And, that's why, basically I created the Evolutionary Energy Arts 2 channel yesterday after receiving the second strike. And, I put 4 videos up yesterday on that and 1 on the first channel. And Tony Help says it wouldn't let me subscribe to the other channel. It's weird because I had that same problem and I'm forgetting his last name, Billy Hunter, I think it is. He's been on a bunch of different shows on Gaia and Ancient Aliens, and he's been on Coast to Coast. And anyway, I went to subscribe to his channel yesterday, and it wouldn't let me subscribe, and I had to go all the way out and then come all the way back in, and then it did let me subscribe. And there's a lot of that going on. Yeah, that's a good idea, Johnny. Video myself, watching a video. There was a lot of issues with sound, and not just me, but many other have brought this up, and that's why I stopped going live for a while, because I got very frustrated when they were turning my mic off on me in the middle of a live stream. Because they could do that. They could basically get in, and I use OBS Studio, as do so many, Dutch and so many others use it as well. And literally you can see them turning off your mic, and your mic's disconnected while you're live streaming. So it is part of everything that's going on. And yeah, there are other alternatives. Going to look into Vimeo, Brighton, others. Definitely check into other ways of doing things as well. And yeah, Fatty McButterpants is talking about the V word, because that's a word we're not really even supposed to speak about anymore. So on Evolutionary Energy Arts 2, I put up one video on the V word and about what's going on with that. Because so many of these subjects, they automatically get demonetized. And this is basically how I pay the bills. But on the new channel, you have to get to 1,000 subscribers and I forget if it's 4,000 minutes or 40,000 minutes before you can monetize. So the ones over there are not monetized. So I took the opportunity to talk about things that could get me in trouble on the first channel, and just decided to blow off some steam yesterday with those, which felt really good. Because this is the way things are going here. Yes, and thank you guys for sharing the videos, because that's how we get the word out. And so I definitely encourage everybody to go over to Evolutionary Energy Arts 2 and go ahead and subscribe and click the bell so you get all the notifications. And this is what it looks like. And so we just put it up yesterday, and just in case, because honestly, it could happen any second. They could find something else, and the first one is totally gone. So this is why we go to the backup channel. This is why people go to backup channels and have had to. And so you can see the topics from yesterday: the Russian troops and planes to Venezuela, dark day for internet freedom, state of emergency over the V word in Rockland, New York. Very disconcerting. And then, how safe are you? The most disaster-prone states. So all those are up on the second channel. And, for a while, I'm going to be putting there the things that I feel are a little bit more controversial and a little bit more risky. And that's kind of the plan right now. And then also, thank you guys, everybody that's gone to our Patreon. And I'll be working on that as well, developing it more and trying to get it so that we could get some special material up on there as well. So I wanted to cover with you guys some of the things that are happening. There's a lot happening, and actually right now there's a lot happening in the land down under. Between Australia and New Zealand, there's so much going on. So we had Tropical Cyclone Veronica. It dumped more than a year's worth of rain in less than 12 hours, and this is in Western Australia. And this is what we got to look forward to. And we've been talking about this a lot, a real lot. And Lisa and I, as well as some other, very close family members and friends, we have to face the fact that there is no perfectly safe area, and anywhere you go can be hammered. And, as we were saying, look at right now up in Dakotas and Nebraska, Iowa. They're not near the coast. You're not going to get a tsunami there, but you still have dangerous water happening there. And look at Western Australia. Australia, of course, Australia's huge. It's a continent. It's huge. So it's going to have a variety of different climatic zones. But they have been getting hammered with such extremes. Such extremes. So while the eye of Tropical Cyclone Veronica didn't cross the coast, very heavy rainfall and strong winds hit the Pilbara coast of Western Australia. And so the wind and very heavy rainfall have now eased. However, road conditions may remain hazardous today and communities may be isolated. And that isolation, be aware, really be aware of the potential for being isolated. And as I shared with you guys, we have a couple of things. One, we have a creek down at the end of the property, which it would take a real lot to get that creek to wash away the driveway. It's theoretically possible, and I wouldn't doubt that it will be washed away maybe within 3 to 5 years at some point. And while we grabbed this property on the fly and we're just renting, I know this is not a good property for long term because there's just way too many trees around us, and these trees are dying in droves, and they're hazardous. So at some point I would not be surprised if this house gets destroyed from trees landing on it. There's just too many too close, and that's one of the problems up here in the mountains too. Landslides, mudslides, trees, and now earthquakes too. So every area you go to has its issues, every single one. And going back to this, on the back of the 1 in 100 year 24-hour total of 14.17 inches that was recorded at the upper North Pole in the 24 hours to 9 o'clock yesterday. More heavy rain fell in the 24 hours to 9 o'clock today, recording a further 2.4 inches. It's just, all these records are just being blown away. Absolutely blown away. It's not even close. So can you imagine what it's going to be like as we go deeper into this cycle? It's only going to get more intense, and we just have to be ready for that as best as we can. We just have to simply do what we can do where we are with what we have, and as much as possible prepare as best as we can. And I'm waiting to change this here. It looks like we're having slow service. So another big thing going on down there, besides that particular cyclone, there was Trevor on top of it. And Trevor's come and gone. So we had Trevor and we have Veronica. And we have this bridge that was washed out. The Waiho Bridge destroyed. And this is on the South Island. Again, just catastrophic. We're talking as in the times of Noah. Totally wild. And thank you so much, Sassy Susie, for your super chat. It's greatly appreciated. And she is always so very supportive and such a key family member. And then you have this hailstorm, and it destroys 4 million avocados in under 10 minutes. And we were talking about how we'd love to have an avocado tree, which isn't going to happen in the mountains of North Carolina. I've done some research, and you have to at least be in zone 8. So we'd have to be more towards the middle of Georgia or southern Georgia to get a certain type of avocado tree that could handle that colder weather. But avocados, I just love them. They're so nutritious. We just had a smoothie, really healthy smoothie, and avocados are great to add to smoothies. Put some avocado and banana in a smoothie, and it's so creamy and delicious. And to see, all these avocados get destroyed, 4 million of them, what a waste. So much nutrition, but this is what we have. This is what we have going on. This is from severe thunderstorms that hit parts of New South Wales, Australia on the 14th. Heavy rain, strong winds, and hail. I mean, what a waste. 80% of the fruit on 12,000 trees on one of the farms was knocked off after hailstones up to 7.6 centimeters or 3 inches in diameter hit the area. And it was 3 months away from harvest, so it's all immature and totally unsalvageable. And the crop losses across the globe are mounting up. They really, really are. And that's a sad thing. But again, we have to adapt. And Mount Popo in Mexico just keeps erupting. It is busy. And this last one went up to 28,000 feet. And it's been so active. And I'll have all the links for you guys as well. Incredibly active down there. And now we have an unseasonably cold outbreak set to bring a burst of winter weather to southern Australia. So after the rain comes the cold. An unseasonable bout of winter weather is on the way, bringing snow and temperatures struggling to get to double digits. And again, there's video there as well. So temperatures could be as much as 10 degrees below average. And snow could settle on some higher ground. And in some areas, the mercury will struggle to get into double digits. It's the one thing we have consistently is extremes. And of course, the extremes are tough when you're trying to grow food. And as you guys were talking about so much when we started this live chat, piles of ice cover roads in Florida town after hailstorm. So if you were to say, hey, look at this is Florida, and here it is in March, and look at what you got covering the roads, you'd be pretty incredulous. And this is Trenton, Florida. Residents of one Florida town woke up to an odd sight. Ice scattered across their roadways. On Wednesday morning, Trenton city officials shared images of heavy ice on the roads after a hailstorm. However, it looked more like a snowstorm, with white patches of ice along streets. Crews with bulldozers started cleaning the roads, but still warned residents to drive with caution during the morning rush hour. These guys don't get the recognition they deserve out there working in the wee hours of the morning in these bad conditions. Thank you, Public Works crews. So, this is about 30 miles west of Gainesville. Obviously slippery conditions, but it's more of one of those things, again, that's kind of shocking. And as we get into the spring season, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what comes. Flooded homes evacuated along the North Dakota-Montana border. Dozens of homes have been evacuated due to flooding on the Yellowstone River. In western North Dakota, eastern Montana, the National Weather Service says ice jams go on for miles along the Yellowstone to its confluence with the Missouri River. About 50 homes have been evacuated near Cartwright, North Dakota, and Fairview, Montana. Highway 200 between the two communities has been closed. Floodwaters also caused a small oil spill into the river when they swamped a well pad where oil-contaminated soil hadn't been fully cleaned up. And this is what we're talking about right here. Again, oil sheen detected. And, it's sad. So we've talked about this before. We're having that discussion again. There's so much fracking out west that's creating the potential for so much disaster. It's like pick your poison. And then out in the east, we have all these nuclear reactors. And we've talked about different circumstances with, the potential for these nuclear reactors to become just ticking time bombs with the type of flooding. You remember when Florence hit, and then in the along the coastal Carolina area, we're worried about reactors melting down. I mean, we saw Fukushima. It's just a horrible disaster. Nobody has a true idea of the scope of Fukushima yet either. We may never really know exactly the type of damage it's done. It's crazy. And yet, they don't seem to care, the people in power. Bacteria can travel thousands of miles through the air on its own. And a new study is providing evidence that bacteria can fly thousands of miles through the air without depending on people and animals for transportation. According to the same experts, their air bridge theory might explain how harmful bacteria have the same antibiotic resistance genes in common. And what if some of the stratospheric injections that we see up in the sky on a daily basis has bacteria in it? What about that? We're seeing an awful lot of outbreaks right now. Outbreaks of things that were thought to be eradicated all at the same time, Call me a conspiracy theorist or a truther, whatever. It's just a matter of, if it can make money, some people will just go with it. And we see that. We see the results of that with all the natural disasters, the oil spills, Fukushima, you name it. And bacteria also can live in outer space. So when we talk about things like getting behind, say, the dust trail of, say, Nibiru, if there is such a thing as Nibiru, which more and more people believe in it every day, then we would actually be potentially exposed perhaps to bacteria that is possibly native there. And maybe we have been in the past. And I just finished the fourth book on the Sumerians and Anunnaki, like in the last month. I've been rereading, and because I read them all so many years ago, and now that more people besides Sitchin have been doing translations, and you know what, the translations are still consistent. They're consistent. So many people said, Sitchin is a Mason, or he's part of the disinfo program. But you know what? I mean, everybody else that's translating these writings, which are very ancient, the translations are coming up the same way. So it lends credence in my mind to it. So this is interesting. Our research suggests that there must be a planet-wide mechanism that ensures the exchange of bacteria between faraway places. Really? Perhaps it's airplanes. What do you think? Because the bacteria we study live in very hot water, about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, in remote places. It is not feasible to imagine that animals, birds, or humans transport them. They must be transported by air, and this movement must be very extensive, so that bacteria in isolated places share common characteristics. I'm sure there's other mechanisms as well, but I think there's more in the air than just aluminum and barium. The investigation was focused on molecular memories that are stored in bacterial DNA, providing a record of when the bacteria encountered viruses. Bacteriophages, which are viruses that infect bacteria, can be found everywhere on the planet that bacteria exists and have a profound influence on microbial populations. The scientists collected Thermophilus bacteria in the hot gravel on Mount Vesuvius and also from hot springs in Italy, Chile, and Russia. After bacterial cells are infected by viruses, they store molecular memories in special regions of bacteria DNA called CRISPR arrays. And that CRISPR technology is what they're using to alter the genes. Cells that survive infections pass the memories as small pieces of viral DNA to their offspring. Scientists can trace the history of bacterial interaction with viruses by looking at the chronological order of the memories. It's all very interesting stuff. And so they're sharing memories. But, again, this is part of a bigger picture as well. And the interconnectedness of it, quantum entanglement. And so, we're connected on many different levels. And DNA is more than just even a physical construct. Yes, we are sprayed like bugs every day. That is so true. And that's one of the biggest things. And so we jump over to the Ebola crisis. The outbreak has now hit over 1,000 cases, 600 killed, medical centers attacked. So the Ebola epidemic in the Democratic Republic of the Congo has surpassed 1,000 cases. That's huge. And of course, so many people there, are fearful of taking the V's. And because it's spread amongst them that the V's are what are making them sick. And you guys know what I'm talking about. 1,009 new cases. 944 are confirmed. 65 are probable. Scary, scary situation. And so, there are a lot of booms out there still. There are a lot of booms, and I think we're getting to the point where we almost, they're getting to be so common we don't talk about them anymore. And I think that's really what we're kind of where we're at right now. So what's causing the loud booms in Fair Oaks? And so this is over in California. A series of startling booms are being reported in a northeastern Sacramento County area. Residents say they've been hearing the noises for months and they're looking for answers. The tranquility of Fair Oaks neighborhoods is being shattered by some mysterious nighttime noises. Homeowners say they're being startled by loud booms in the late evening hours. One explosion was even caught on Ring video camera. The noises are loud enough to set off car alarms and to wake people from their sleep. It rattles windows. It sounds like a firework going off in my backyard. Sounds are especially startling to those who have kids. She's 2 years old and she comes out, "Mommy, what's that?" And she freaks out. Loud bangs have attracted so much attention that a Facebook group has been created to track the times and direction of the explosions. It has now more than 500 followers. And, there's a lot of these Facebook groups out there. We were talking about one down in Alabama the other day. And I remember seeing one up in Idaho as well, and one in Montana, I believe, as well. So, they're happening all the time, and they're happening here in the Carolinas. And yesterday, if that's an indication, then it feels like it could be earth-shifting. Maybe it's breaking up of plates underneath our feet. Who knows? But it's interesting. It really is interesting. There's a lot more going on there than we know, I think, at the moment. And so last weekend, the Sheriff's Department received multiple reports of the explosions and sent out their helicopter and several deputies to investigate. Investigators say they're confident it's caused by powerful illegal fireworks. Okay, sure, yeah. I don't know if I buy that one. And yes, and Sassy Susie's talking about military traffic picking up there in southern Nevada near Area 51. And another place called The Peak. And yeah, I'm hearing that from others as well. One of our family members up in Omaha has in the past sent me in videos of stealth bombers, and he was saying that it's getting busy again. Something's up again. And so the last time, interestingly enough, coincided with, it was just before we started really talking about the Venezuela thing, and just before they started to laid out there about Venezuela. So you know that some of that military action was probably a build-up towards Venezuela or towards a Venezuela action, which still could happen at any time. And there's things going on. The military helicopters are picking up in southwest Florida as well, so says Leland. And I think that every day here in Kentucky, yep, see? So this is part of what's important, is for us to share these things, and this is a great venue for sharing these things. And again, for all the new people that just jumped on board, please do head over to Evolutionary Energy Arts 2. It's a new channel, just started yesterday, just in case number 1 gets taken down. Which, unfortunately now it's got 2 strikes against it. So, I'm trying to get as many people to jump on board here. And I know so many people have done this as well. Other truther channels out there have had to do this as well, create a backup. So many popular channels have actually disappeared, and I think back to BP Earthwatch about a year ago, because BP, I used to love to watch him myself, especially for all the earth changes and the hurricane tracking and things like that. And it was on his channel that I saw what to me looked like something was shot up from the ground when Harvey went through, and Harvey changed direction. It looked like you could see something come up from the ground in Mexico, like it was some sort of weather modification thing. And then Harvey just does a hard hang left, goes west, and changes course and intensifies. And so we need to keep these types of information coming through to you guys. So please do go ahead and subscribe and click the bell to number 2, just in case anything happens with this channel. So that way, you guys won't, lose touch with us. And so I put 4 videos up there yesterday, and 3 of them are a little bit touchier ones that I'd be afraid to put on number 1, just because of how things are going. And so until that gets fully monetized, because right now it's not monetized, doesn't have enough subscribers or minutes, that's where I'm going to put kind of like the touchier things, and maybe keep it going that way as well. And then if you guys do feel so inclined, please do go ahead and join our Patreon as well. And I want to thank everybody that's been supporting us on Patreon and Ko-Fi. So, so much going on with these mystery booms. They're everywhere. They really are everywhere. And so this was back in February in Oklahoma. But, still, these things are ongoing. And everywhere you look. And, the investigations never turn up anything. They never really come out. We had one guy that was arrested for dynamite in Arizona that they were trying to connect to the booms. And here we have Idaho. Idaho had a ton of mystery booms as well, southern Idaho. And if you've been in the area longer than a few months, you probably heard about these mystery booms that randomly shake the area. We really aren't sure what they are, but we want to know if you heard them and where you live. And so, that's what we're finding everywhere. And here's another one that they have a tracker on. And I'll have all the links for you guys as well. So, being with a health and fitness background, I'm always interested in things like the healthiest communities. And so, this is interesting. Plus, I just love lists. I love lists. I just find them fascinating. If somebody says, hey, the top 10, it doesn't matter if it's the top 10 balls of yarn in the U.S. It's still something I'm going to end up kind of looking at, because I just have to when you say top 10. So anyway, this is the highest ranking communities as far as health. So how well and how long you live are shaped by where you live. Local health outcomes are often driven by factors like a community's economic performance, the strength of its education system, the availability and affordability of housing, and a myriad of other elements that affect residents' overall quality of life. So knowing how such factors interact to create a healthier community, or a sicker one, is an important first step towards targeting resources where they'll do the most good. And geography offers a powerful lens through which to focus reform. So the U.S. News Healthiest Communities rankings measure crucial health-related components of society with the aim of empowering citizens, healthcare leaders, and officials to make decisions about policies and practices that can improve health outcomes for all. Guided by a pioneering framework developed by a committee appointed to advise the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the project scores nearly 3,000 counties on 81 indicators across 10 categories that drive overall community health. Population health and equity are the most heavily weighted categories, based on the assessment of more than a dozen leading experts on what matters most to a community's health. So below you have the 2019 rankings of the top 500 healthiest communities nationwide and how they scored across each of the 10 categories on a scale of 0 to 100. And so yesterday we were looking at, if you went to the backup channel, Evolutionary Energy Arts 2, the first video in there was talking about basically the 25 most dangerous states as far as natural disasters, where FEMA has declared natural disasters the most often. So as we see, sometimes you got to weigh things. That's just life. We have to weigh things. We have to say, is it worth living somewhere that's a little bit riskier to basically have maybe more outdoor time, more beach time, more me time, whatever it is, a shorter commute if you do have to commute, and more sunshine, or whatever it is that really makes you happy. So looking at this list, I found it very interesting. Number 1 on the list is Douglas County, Colorado. So Colorado, there is a lot of outdoor activities you could do. It's very, very if you like to ski, you like to hike, you definitely have the mountains, you have a lot of different things. It's a fast growing state, without a doubt. Tons of people are moving into Colorado all the time. And as you can see the scores here on it, population health 94.9, equity 64.4, education 64.8, economy 100. So it's breaking it down into all these different items. And so that's our number 1. And number 2, Los Alamos County, New Mexico. Now that might surprise a lot of people. And I've looked at this area before just simply because it's one of those places where if you're not in the mountains, it's very, very warm. But then if you're up in the mountains, it's like being up in Vermont. So it's interesting because you do have some very high peaks there as well. So population health is 100. So this one ranked as high as you could get as far as that goes. And the things that are holding us back are education, food and nutrition. You have to look at all these things. So being here in the Western North Carolina mountains, I recognize that being down in Florida was a little bit spoiled with the veggies and the fruits. Well, fruits probably even more than the veggies. Just because so much of the year down there, you could get such diversity. And I love everything tropical, especially fruits and stuff. And you definitely pay way more here for that. It's a trade-off. And then we went to a farmer's market in September, October. Really there was sweet potatoes and there was a variety of apples, and then some pumpkins and some squash and gourds. But that was kind of it, and when I would go, even down in South Carolina, we had farmers markets, and you'd have all sorts of tropical stuff. And the climate's different, and you're faced with bringing things in from farther away, which drives up the cost, obviously. So there's always these trade-offs. But this was a little bit of a surprise to me. Los Alamos County, New Mexico, number 2 as far as the healthiest community ranking. And then you have a pair of Virginia cities, Falls Church City, Virginia, and Loudoun County, Virginia. And then we have Broomfield, Colorado, Teton County, Wyoming, Hamilton County, Indiana, Carver County, Minnesota, Delaware County, Ohio. And so I lived in Delaware County, Ohio previously as well. And surprised me a little bit at first, but when I think about it, yeah, there was a lot of outdoor activity there as well. Good hiking trails, a lot of parks, things like that. A lot of health-orientated restaurants, definitely very good schools. They tax you to death, and they have taxes on top of taxes in Ohio, and I know a lot of places are like that. You have, of course, your federal taxes, then you have your state taxes, then you have your county taxes, then you have your school district taxes on top of it. And, that's the difference between a blue and a red state, for sure. So there was tons of taxes going on up there. And then the weather, it did get very cold. In the summer, it was nice. And so we have Howard County, Maryland, Chaffee County, Colorado, Morgan County, Utah, another Virginia, Fairfax County, Virginia, another Colorado. We've seen a lot of Colorados in Virginia. Root County, Colorado, Jefferson County, Montana, Ozaukee County in Wisconsin, San Miguel County in Colorado, so another Colorado, Fairfax City, Virginia, another Virginia, another Colorado, and another Colorado, Pitkin County, Colorado, and Boulder County, Colorado. And then we jump to Minnesota, Tennessee, New Jersey, California, and Virginia. So Colorado and Virginia had a lot on this list in the top 25. So does that surprise you guys? What do you guys make of that list? And I find it kind of surprising, but every area has its own pluses and minuses. And yes, Connie says Colorado is getting crowded. Trust me. And Fifth World's talking about medicinal mushrooms of all types. Yes, cordyceps, very, very good for your health. And a lot of people, of course, go to Colorado for the medical M. And that's another word that you have to be careful saying because it automatically gets you in trouble. And yeah, the rent has gone through the roof. Colorado is expensive. I did look at Colorado, and it is most definitely expensive. And the cold too, because the overnight lows for most of Colorado are pretty low. Beautiful country though, gorgeous country. But yeah, definitely expensive. But I find those lists fascinating. So Hubble witnesses the birth of a colossal storm on Neptune for the first time. And we were talking about how not only are there changes going on Earth, but there's definitely changes in the solar system. And of course, if you have changes to the sun, you have changes to everything in the solar system. But the thing is, I feel and believe that the sun is a relay. And we've looked at how, when you look at the stars, they so look like the neural network in a brain. And so I view it as that the sun is basically a relay and a way of transmitting energy, information, light to all of us, to everything that is populating this whole solar system. And so this is interesting, because we were talking about the big red storm on Jupiter the other day, and how it's basically, decreasing in size by like 2/3. And now, basically we have a new storm developing as you look at Neptune's south pole. There's changes going on. There's huge changes. And so I totally believe there are massive changes going on in the planet. And I do think that there are changes going on a bigger scale as well. And we don't know how big these changes are. Are they solar system wide? Are they even beyond that? Are they affecting the entire galaxy? Or even beyond that? So it's very interesting. And so you see the changes going on right here in Neptune. And Neptune's a very interesting planet as well. So many changes going on all around us, my friends. All around us. Tremendous changes. And Robin smelled a skunk in her backyard last night. Well, yeah, we have a skunk that comes up here if you guys got to catch out the video. Let's see, I hope we didn't lose the live stream. But yeah, I hope you guys got to check out the video showing the skunk and the raccoon getting along really well. Because they were, and they can, and we can all get together. You know what you guys missed? Thank you, Eric. And Lisa took another video. Was after that, the raccoon came back up. The raccoon went away and then came back up. And what happened was they were both eaten out of the same bowl. They were both actually eating out of the same bowl at the same time. It was pretty amazing. Can you guys still hear me? Okay. I'm glad you guys could still hear me. Yeah, Eric's asking, are there prophecies that we're going to connect with the animals? Yeah, most definitely. And I think we can. And I was talking to one of our family members I hadn't talked to in a long time. And basically he was saying how he knows now that you could see right through people. And that's part of what's really going on here as we were talking. The changes going on in energy and frequency and vibration are making it so that we are all getting more intuitive. We're all getting more intuitive. It's increasing. And this is part of why I believe there's so much going on to thwart the changes. But, that's why they're trying to lower our vibration through the fluoride, through the geoengineering, through the 5G, through all these different things going on. All these different things are causing that, and they're trying to basically lock us down into a lower vibrational level, a lower vibrational rate. And that's part of the bigger picture. And you guys, if you haven't been following Naughty Beaver, he's been so on fire lately. You really got to check out Naughty Beaver, because he is just saying it totally from the heart, and he's not holding back anymore, and he's just letting it out, and letting you know how he feels. And I think he's saying a lot of things that many of us are thinking, but of course we're hesitant to talk about some of these things. But yeah, you can. Kingdom of Hope says, I have psychic communication with my dog already. He reads me and I can read him. And that's intensifying. That is intensifying. It's getting stronger. We could do this. We could all do these things. And I would say that one of the most important things is really doing meditation. It's so important right now. Learn QiGong. Learn Tai Chi. Do yoga. We have to address both the physical and the emotional, mental, spiritual. We have to address it all. But the effects right now of any sort of energy work, mind-body work, they are so strong, so intense, that I feel like we could overcome any of these things that they're throwing at us, whether it's 5G, chemtrails, fluoridated water, vaccinations. Oops, I said the V word. It doesn't matter, because we're going to a place now where our intentions are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And so, if you call it prayer, you could call it prayer, you could call whatever words you want. It's fine. It's just about getting to a certain vibration and staying and holding that vibration. And so TC802 says, I was told yoga was the dance of demons. Yeah, and you were told that by sources that are in control of this planet. That's the mindset of the controllers, because they don't want you realizing your power. They want you in fear. And that's the measles outbreak. So they want you in fear. They promote fear. And anything like that is going to be something that they're using to keep you in a fear-based reality. Well, that's good. Yeah. And, it's all about anything that will put you into a vibration of love and harmony and peace. So if that means, basically doing it in a prayerful way with Christian prayers, then good for you. Just do that. Do that, but just do it with a pure heart and with strong intention. And, if you are Hindu or Buddhist or Islamic, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Just do it with a pure heart and good intentions, because it's all about the vibrations. It's not about any particular word, really. It's more about the vibration, the frequency. And yes, the animal kingdom's energy is definitely amping up. was just saying that. Most definitely. Yep. Getting out of the Saturn matrix. Yeah, we have to get out of that duality, really, and that's part of what we're doing right now. That's part of what we're doing now. We've been kept into this duality in order to keep us pulling each other down. And so I find it fascinating when you read the stories about the Anunnaki. They've fought amongst themselves constantly. They are so ego-driven and territorial, and they used people to fight their wars and their battles, and they still do. And another family member that's out in Spain, I was talking to her today, and we were talking basically about these things and how in reality we still have a feudal-based society. We still do. That's really what we have. We have the illusion of some freedoms, but those illusions are breaking down, and we could see how it really is set up, and nothing has changed. We were covering that earlier, when I was talking about the budget deficit, and here, one of the thoughts many people who had voted for President Trump were probably thinking, we're throwing in a businessman, he's going to at least straighten out the economy. And nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. But in my opinion, it's because the system is way more powerful than any one individual, for one. I don't think the presidents have really any power when you get down to it. That's just my opinion, because I think all the power lies in those you don't even see, the ones behind the scenes. And, so how much can really be done by any one individual? And when you get down to it, I do think that these mostly are actors. And when you get down to it, it's another reality show. They're selling us. And so that's the thing now. Now we can see way more clearly that we're being sold. We're being sold BS. It's just like, putting a new coat of paint on the pig, so to speak, and putting the sign out there, selling this junk car that's going to just break down as soon as you take it off the lot. And it's just so clear to see that. Yes, terrible actors at that, most definitely. And it's so obvious to see that. And yeah, I agree, TC. It's nothing more than a soap show. It's like watching As the World Turns or one of those. Yes, the Truman Show. And that's our reality, and they've given us these hints about that through the movies, like the Truman Show. So much of our real reality is hinted at in movies, like The Matrix, like the Truman Show. Did you guys see Dark City? I did a video on Dark City because Dark City is just, it's a good old movie. And again, it's all about the controllers. All about the controllers and, you know, the illusion that's there. But the thing is, you know, the fact that we are waking up to our power and our ability to change things. And we have tremendous power. Tremendous. If you saw that one article I was quoting before, they figure as much, or I should say as little, as the square root of 1% can affect positive change on the whole. That's tremendous. As little as a square root of 1% being able to change the whole, our whole reality. So we really need to just really hone in on our ability and our power. And some have brought up the fact that we should do something with concerted everyday prayers and meditations. And that would be a really good idea too. And maybe we'll figure out something where we could set something up and either leave like a live stream going with a certain prayer or intention and do it at a regular time and try to counteract some of this negative energy that's out there that these controllers are putting out there. And so we know that they're out there now. We know that they're manipulating things. When we watch the regular news, don't you want to just sit back and laugh sometimes? Because you know it's all acting. You know, when you watch the talking heads out there, they're almost hilarious now. You know, because do you really think we're going to buy it? Do you really think we're going to believe it? Because we know that what you're doing over there is basically on the conservative shows, you're trying to turn us against the liberals. On the liberal shows, you're trying to turn us against the conservatives. Because the bottom line is you want dissension. You want conflict. You want to keep us both, all sides, yapping at each other. Meanwhile, you're doing your thing. And so that is something that we can see so clearly now. Yes, faith and what we believe has impact on reality. It truly, truly does. It's all around us right now. And the energies are ramping up and they're so intense. How many of you guys meditate or do prayer or yoga or QiGong, Tai Chi on a regular basis? How many of you guys practice some sort of meditative mind, body, physical practice on a regular basis? Have you noticed how much more intense it is now than it was, say, a year ago? Haven't you noticed how much more you're tingling, you're vibrating? Can you feel the energy at the top of the head? Can you feel a tingling in your feet? Do you feel your palms getting warm? You might even feel some of the chakras themselves spinning. Everything is getting stronger. Our sixth sense, as Eric says, is completely waking up. And it has to do with our DNA, you know, and being turned on. And what's turning it on is the energy that I think is coming from the center of our galaxy and being sent out to each sun, because each of the suns is a relay. It's part of a big neural network. And literally, we are living in the mind of God itself. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the kind words. And so if we are living in the mind of God itself, then we could connect to that. And so that's what we do need to connect to. When you look at the advertising, and I want to apologize for like a video from about 3 days ago. There was a video and I was talking for a prolonged period of time, and it had some ads up that were a little suggestive. But you know, those type of suggestive ads and the advertising, that's all part of the bigger plan, because all that pulls us into a lower vibratory rate, pulls us down into a lower energetic place. Just like, you know, how much do they just try to sell us all the things that are kind of mindless? That's what they do. They totally try to just sell us to live at a lower frequency. And they kind of make it so that we think that we're doing something good or right by doing that way and by living our lives that way. But as Violet is saying, the veil has definitely thinned, and we could see right through it. I'm getting photos, and I got to get permission to share a couple of these photos. Getting photos where you could see beings so clearly right next to people, and people are aware of these beings being there. And some of them feel creepy and some of them feel benevolent, but we are surrounded by all these other entities all the time. And before, we were on more of a lockdown. Isn't it fascinating how all the mythologies of the world are so very similar? They're so incredibly similar. And why are they so similar? Why do you have all these beings that all look alike, whether you're talking, a mythology from Iceland or Central America or Africa or Australia or China? They're all basically the same when you get down to it. Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much for the super chat. Your help is definitely appreciated. So all these mythologies are talking about the same things. Can you imagine if we're going to start actually seeing these mythological beings again? Because many of us are. We are, because the veil is thinning. And perhaps, all these things have always been there and never left that realm. Perhaps it's us that left that portion of reality because we were not able to see it anymore. And as we've shared, there are myths that talk about humans at one time being like, quote unquote, the gods. And there are Chinese myths that say at one time humans could fly, but basically we were tampered with. Interesting. And we lost that ability. It's interesting too with the Irish myths, the Tuatha De Danann, and how the fairy folk packed up and went west and left our reality. Did they really go west? Did they just, did we lose the ability? Did we fall? There's those people that think that we are the fallen angels. There are those, like Brother Gordon, that think that we are the ones that are fallen. And we've fallen dimensionally because our home is at a much higher dimension than this. And we're locked in here. And it is the thought that some people believe as well, that we're on lockdown in this lower vibrational frequency. And when you look at what Buddha had discovered after all his meditation, he realized, you know what? We're in a matrix. That's basically what it was. We are in a matrix. And this is all actually not real. And there's an underlying oneness to everything. And we've talked about the Gnostics. And, I think that would be a good thing to do a video or two on as well, because the Gnostics were so persecuted. And when you look at Gnostic beliefs, they really do go along with most of the Eastern beliefs as well. And so many of them do when you get down to it. And it's very interesting because we're rising up now to the point where we can see clearly again. And this is disconcerting for many people because our reality is expanding so greatly that it can be a very disconcerting thing. And Christy says the God's not our creator. Exactly. And because perhaps if you there are the gods with a little g, and then there's source. And so just because you maybe don't believe what any one particular organized belief system believes doesn't mean that you're an atheist. Not at all. It just means that you don't buy into what people are trying to sell you. And thank you, D-Drag the Red. Thank you for the support and the super chat. And beware of negative energies. And it's true. I don't think that everything that's not an angel is a demon, but I do think there are demons. I think I've actually seen some. I think that they're real. I do think that demons are real. I do think that angels are real. I do think, that there's all different types of life on this dimension and on other dimensions as well. And it's fascinating when you look at the Puranas, the Vedas, and the other Vedic books. Very interesting, because they talk about all the different humanoid types of life in this galaxy. They talk about the size of the galaxy, and they talk about it accurately as well as the shape, and it's really fascinating to look at it. It really is incredible. I do think we had way more knowledge in the past than we do now, and I think that knowledge has been kept from us. And so we did have a comment up there too that demons are running the world. And I would agree. I think we can call the energy that is running this world demonic for sure. And in that it's not looking for the betterment of the whole, of all of us. It's really looking out for its own energy completely. It's only looking to take care of itself. Yes, Emily says end duality, because I do think that the Tao sign is a symbol of the duality that we live in here. And that is, the reality for this particular frequency band. But it's not necessarily the reality for all frequency bands. And at some point we go into a unity consciousness. And, that is where many of us, I believe, are heading. And I think that we have been there before, had a taste of it. And that is really home, is transcending the duality. And so we need to be strong, yes. And we need to embrace each other. And one of the biggest things that we could do right now is purging ourselves of any sort of lower vibration, lower emotion. And so all really that we need to focus on is forgiveness. Forgive yourself for all the things that you haven't lived up to what you want to live up to. Forgive others as well. Let go of any judgment, let go of any hate, because that will only weigh you down and keep you in this reality. It'll keep you on lockdown, so we must let go of those things. That is the most important thing right now, is letting go of anything that's holding you down. Let go of fears, let go of jealousies, let go of insecurities, and forgive everybody you need to forgive. Whether that's done by making a call, a text, an email, or just doing it basically in any way you like. Sometimes people will do little rituals, like they'll write something on a piece of paper and then burn it and just send it off into the other dimensions with the intention that that's gone now. Whatever it is, it's gone. There's other techniques, like say if it's a relative that passed on and there's still something that's holding in your heart, like maybe something you didn't do or something you didn't tell them. You could use the technique of sitting in a chair, put a chair facing you, close your eyes, think about them strong and hard, and when you see them mentally in the chair facing you, then have that conversation with them that you had to have with them, that you didn't get a chance to. And then let it go, whatever it is. Apologize, thank them, whatever it is. Forgive them or ask for their forgiveness, and just let it go. And that is the type of thing we need to do now if we're going to rise to a much higher level. And that is the type of thing, too, that will end up increasing our vibration, our frequency, and also, then we'll be more connected to everything that's happening around us. And you'll be more connected to that inner voice. So you'll know if there is like any sort of danger also. And if it's time to maybe, go to a different place, or maybe, to take a different street home that night just because you have a feeling, listen to the inner. Listen to the inner. And Amy says, let go of this world system and run to God. Yeah, because, and I was listening to, I think his name is Billy Hunter again. And I've seen him before, and I've seen him before be very politically correct when he was on some shows getting interviewed, like Gaia and Coast to Coast and the like. And so when he was doing his own telecast, he didn't hold back. Boy, did he lay it out there. And it was like, it made my mouth hang open for a little while. You know, is he really saying that? But yeah, you know, we talk about the system of the beast and the mark of the beast and all that. That's been here. The New World Order has been here the whole time. You know, it's been here the whole time. Nothing has changed. We were born into this system. It's been here this whole time. But it's decaying, and it's going to fall apart. And it's inevitable, because 7.6 billion of us are waking up to this new reality. And, you know, all it takes is for the square root of less than 1% to make a positive change. And that's why they're clamping down on us so much right now. They are clamping down dramatically. They don't want these words getting out there. They don't want people waking up. They don't want people recognizing and realizing that they're being basically conditioned to be divisive, to live in a divisive world, which makes us so easily manipulated. And so we're waking up to all this. And yeah, Aries is talking about the former defense minister confirming that the U.S. government's involved with 2 different alien species. Yeah, there are ETs, and there's also IDs as well. There's definitely interdimensionals as well. And I do believe they overshadow people, possess people, quote unquote. There's a lot of truth when we start looking at all the legends, all the systems. Then you start getting a better picture. You really do. Thank you, Julie, so much for the super chat. Thank you for your support. Yes, listen to your own instinct, your own guardian angel. Break the conditioning. Because this is how they've held us down and in control. And when you look at the amount of people that they've caused to be slaughtered and to be in these incessant wars. And I commented on that in a video yesterday. And it was a perfect example. There's a Netflix movie about Robert the Bruce. And so if you guys are familiar with William Wallace, you know, who was fighting for Scotland's independence from England. And when William Wallace was killed, Robert the Bruce took up the torch. And, you know, basically if you watch the movie, in the end, he has a chance to actually to kill Edward II of England. And he didn't. He didn't. And so much of the time we see that it's all the regular peasants, it's the average people that are getting killed in these wars constantly. It's not the elites, because the elites don't take part in the wars. They don't. And part of it goes back to that kingship and bloodlines and it coming down from on high, because they view themselves as above us. Just when you read like all the old books, you know, if you go into the Sumerian legends, the ones that were controlling all these wars were the gods themselves, which were not gods. They were just beings. And, you know, maybe terrestrial, maybe extraterrestrial, you know, whether you believe in Nibiru or not, or maybe they were leftover people that had held on to the high technology from previous civilizations, whatever we want to view them as. But they basically viewed themselves as above the fray, but they used humans to fight their wars and kill each other. And then in the end, again, Robert the Bruce spares Edward II, because they don't, you know, usually kill each other so much directly, but they don't care about us and about the average person. And that is so true as we see this. You know, when we look at these families, and all the presidents besides one have been relatives, all of them. And it's again, there's no change. Nothing has changed. It's all the same thing still going on. It's still going on. And Stack says Trump will have us in a war with Iran after he's reelected or reselected, yes, in 2020. And yeah, the war drums are beating hard, with most definitely. And thankfully, as Fifth World's saying, Pleiadians are here right now above your heads. There has to be positive forces out there that are holding, at least to a degree, these negative forces in check. So there has to be some sort of positive forces. And I always viewed it before as, perhaps the angelic realm is sort of the policeman of all the realms when you get down to it. And it's just interesting to think about and really look at. So my friends, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me in this, and we'll do this more often, and we'll get this going on a regular basis. It was a really good turnout. I want to do more interaction with you guys, and as always, want to hear what you guys are thinking. And we're going to change things up a little bit, because I think that it was a wake-up call for the channel too. And thank you, Il Bishop, for the support and the $5 super chat. As I'm losing my voice here. So I want to thank you guys again so much for joining. And we're going to do this on a much more regular basis. And I look forward once again to your comments on all this, as always. Much love, my friends out there. God bless, stay safe, and namaste.